And welcome. It is time for the Freedom Friday live stream. In today's show, we are going to discuss why you should release your inner kid, why all branding and sales should be P2P, don't worry about B2B and B2C, and why and how you should unleash your superpowers when we come back in a moment on today's Freedom Friday live stream. All right, everyone. Whoop. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Well, welcome today to the Freedom Friday live stream. Again, my name is Kurt Mercadante. My company is Merc Enterprises, and we help entrepreneurs and business owners increase their authority brand exposure to the right clients so they can make more money. Welcome today. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you are a regular joiner and participant in our Freedom Friday live streams, welcome back. I am so grateful you are here today. And by the way, as we always do, when you join us, don't be shy. Do not be a lurker. Jump in. Let us know your name, your city, your state, your town, and at least one thing you are grateful for today, because we want to start a gratitude chain. It starts with us. There's enough negativity in the world. There's enough crap going on. There's enough bad news and viruses and lockdowns and businesses going out of business, people out of work. And I'm not saying that's not important, but you know what? Let's start gaining an abundance mindset. Let's make the collective consciousness of this world one of abundance, and it starts with gratitude. So please, please, please jump in. Let us know. There's our background or our overlay. Jump in and let us know at least one thing you're grateful for, as well as your name, your city, your state, your town. Ankit, hello, welcome. How are you doing today? Now, I want to, once again, welcome you all here to the Freedom Friday live stream. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Kurt Mercadante. My company is Merc Enterprises, 25 years experience in public relations and advertising. My mission is to help you build your freedom business by branding and selling better. We're going to talk about all of that today. But again, as you join us, I'm extremely grateful that you're joining us today. Jump in. Don't be a lurker. Don't be shy. We're going to hang here until a few more people join, because I know that happens. As you go, let me know your questions, your comments, your agreements, your disagreements. We'll highlight them here on the screen as well. We're also going to give some shout outs during today to Art Sobczak, Brandon Bornancin, who I interviewed yesterday. If you missed that, we're going to give shout outs to all of them today. And by the way, if you text Superpowers, it's right there at the bottom of the screen. Text Superpowers to 55678, and you can get a special goodie, 50% off your Strengthsfinder assessment. It's normally about $20. You can get it for $9, $9.99. Text Superpowers to 55678. I will get in touch with you personally. So let's jump into today's first topic. Kenneth Dunner Jr., first of all, from Sugar Land, Texas. Here we go. Let's highlight Sugar Land, Texas, just southwest of Houston. I'm grateful to be alive another day. Enjoy all of what life has to offer. May you all have a scrumptiously, deliciously, edibly tasty good day and the weekend. Stay strong, safe, happy, and healthy, peeps. Kenneth, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for jumping in and participating. Let us know what you're grateful for and where you are. We get a lot of folks from Texas joining us. I have a feeling we're going to have some more folks from Texas joining us as we go. So, Kenneth, thank you so much. And by the way, whether or not you're joining live or you're watching the archive version of this later today or tomorrow, still jump in. One of the best parts of doing these live streams every Friday is the new people I get to meet, the new people you get to meet, because we're building a global community here, and we're starting it off with gratitude. So I can see you all joining. Brian Brogan, Mulberry, Florida. Great morning. That you bet, Brian. Brian, what's one thing that you're grateful for today? Thank you so much for jumping in. Let's highlight Brian right there on the screen from Mulberry, Florida. Brian and I got to meet each other a few weeks ago, about a month ago. Thanks so much, Brian, for joining us. By the way, Brian, share the link to your podcast here in the comments. By the way, as you're joining us, and I can see a lot of people joining us, they're lurking out there. Don't just be a lurker. Come in, participate, be intentional. Share your name, your city, your state, your town, at least one thing you're grateful for. Ankit Kumar, thank you. Where are you joining us from today, Ankit? And what's one thing you are grateful for? Whether you're joining us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter, we're so grateful you are here today. So if you got a chance to see my post from earlier this week, and go to freedommedianetwork.com to see this story, I had the honor of interviewing Art Sobczak. Now, Art Sobczak is author of the venerable book called Smart Calling. Here, I'll put it up here on the screen for you in a second. Oh, there you go. That makes more sense. So, Smart Calling. I got to disappear that. So you can see that right there. So we did an interview with Art Sobczak about his book, Smart Calling. And one of the things he talked about is why you should be more like a kid when you sell. It was so insightful. And I asked him why. And in his book, he tells a story about a young girl. He was at a charity event. And this young girl came back to him, and you buy raffle tickets. And he had already bought a bunch of raffle tickets, but this little girl came up to him and said, "You want to buy some raffle tickets?" He said, "Well, I already bought some." And she looked at him with those cute eyes and she said, "You haven't bought any from me." And of course, his heart melted and he had to buy from her. What he said is, be more like a kid when you sell, because kids don't take no for an answer. They'll keep asking and asking and asking. And when one decision maker says no, they go to the next decision maker. When we get to adults, he said, we're programmed from people telling us no, people telling us, building into us and programming a fear of rejection. And what he says is, quote, "I think what happens is as people get older, they start listening to the stories that are told about some things, whereas kids, we're not listening to those false stories. So we hear things about being rejected and, quote, you shouldn't ask for things and you shouldn't put yourself out there. And people are afraid of being made fun of. But kids, they're not afraid of putting themselves out there." He said kids are insensitive to no's because they'll ask and ask and ask, and they'll act like they're deaf. And even if they give up with one decision maker, they'll go to the next decision maker. So the no's don't determine them. If you want to see that interview, go to freedommedianetwork.com. Of course, I'm talking about my interview with Art Sobczak, author of the wonderful, incredible book, Smart Calling. And so he talked about being more like a kid because kids don't take no for an answer. So I want to highlight that. But there's another reason we should be more like kids. Earlier this week, and I'm going to give a shout out here. I'm going to stop to give a shout out to some folks here. We got Godwin Gums joining us. Grateful for my family and friends. Godwin, where are you joining us from? Let us know your name, your city, your state, your town. Where are you joining us from? Godwin, thank you so much for joining us from LinkedIn. We got Michael DeLeone. Hi, all, and happy Friday. This is Mike from Huntington, New York, Long Island. There are many, many things to be grateful for. My two beautiful children top the list. Thank you so much for joining us. And Kenneth writes again. By the way, I can't click the right buttons today. Kurt, my beautiful gem of a gentleman, a human being, and a friend of mine, to millions who share his goodness with others for the betterment of humankind. What are you grateful for? Today, I'm grateful that the sun is shining. I'm grateful for prosperity. Every day, I'm thankful for the prosperity that is mine. A lot of people look at prosperity as something you go out and get, something that you beg for, something that's out there. And we have to realize that prosperity, we are born, it is our birthright. It is within us. And when you let that prosperity flow, that's when you come to realize it. The other day, I was in kind of a slump for about 2 days. And you know what I did? Instead of pushing and grinding, I got up and I went to the beach with my daughter. You know what happened? On the way home from the beach, a prospect that had been out there for a while texted me and said, "Yes, we're in." The rest of that day, 3 sales calls I booked. You know what I truly believe is that we put blocks on our own prosperity and we don't allow it to flow. And when we do that, we start to grind, we tense up, we become stressed, and that prosperity gets blocked even more. It's when we get in the flow, when we allow our creativity and our critical thinking and our minds, and our minds are our greatest resource. When we allow that to flow, we allow our prosperity flow, and that's when good things happen. but it's easy to worry about the future. It's easy to tense up. It's easy to stress out. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the noise. And Lord knows in today's day and age, there's enough noise out there that we lose the signal. Allow that signal to flow. Allow your inner prosperity to flow, and prosperity will be yours. By the way, Brian Brogan, I asked him, put your podcast link in there. Go check that out. Link to Brian's podcast. Please go listen to it, download it. He dropped some major knowledge bombs. Again, Brian Brogan from Mulberry, Florida. Thanks so much. And as you can see, as we go, and by the way, Godwin's joining us from Jacksonville, Florida, just about 3.5 hours down the road from me. As you jump in here, regardless if I'm in the middle of talking, I'm going to stop where I'm at, and I'm going to give you a shout out. I'm going to highlight your comment. Let us know your name, your city, your state, your town, where in the world you're joining us from, and at least one thing you're grateful for today. Now, we were talking about why you should be more like a kid, and I highlighted my interview with Art Sobczak, who said, be more like a kid, because kids don't take no for an answer. They don't have fear of rejection. They don't have a fear of putting themselves out there. So from a sales point of view, be more like a kid. Excellent advice. The other way I think we should be more like a kid is earlier this week, my wife, we're moving. We're putting our house on the market. We're going to travel for the next 2 years. We're going to tune out all the noise and the negativity. We're going to go in the mountains. We homeschool our kids. I run my business, and I focus on helping people. That's my view of branding and sales. It's about having an impact. So we're going to tune out the noise, live a life of freedom, build my company, build our relationships, and build our self-care. So we're purging in the house. We're throwing things out. My wife found a notebook from when I was in 7th grade. And the notebook was very interesting. I was a writer. I wanted to be a novelist. All these years later, I finally published my book last year, 5 Pillars of the Freedom Lifestyle, hit Amazon bestseller status. But also in there, I had goals for myself, my big audacious goals from when I was 7 years old, and everyone was smiling at them. And it's so funny to look back, right? And it's a little bit sad that it's funny, but some of my goals were to play in at least one professional football game, to hand glide over the Grand Canyon, to win to break at least 5 world records, to win an Olympic medal. What were some of the other ones? There were a number of other ones. And it's funny, we look at those and we're like, oh my gosh, we think those are so out there. Here's why you should unleash your inner kid and be more like a kid, not just for sales, but because when we are kids, we think anything is possible. For some reason, we're told no. We're told you can't do that. We're told to be responsible. As we grow up, as we become adults, we think things are out of our reach. We put things on our bucket list that really aren't big, audacious goals. I can't tell you how many clients I have who come to me who are embarrassed to tell me about their big goals because they think they're so out there. And I have yet to have a client come to me with big, audacious goals that are not attainable. And I laughed to my kids as they looked through my goals from when I was in 7th grade, and they said 5 world records. And I said, you know what? Why can't I do that? Let's get the Guinness Book of World Records and look for some world records that I'm 45 years old. There is absolutely no reason I can't break some world records. Can I hand glide over the Grand Canyon? Maybe. I'd be scared out of my wits, but could I still do it? Yes. But you know what? When I was in 7th grade, I was absolutely convinced I could do it. The world was my oyster. I had everything in front of me. And yet, for some reason, our parents, our teachers, our coaches, our early bosses squeeze that out of us. When we come out of the womb, we have a sense of wonderment, a sense of discovery, even if it's just a sense of wonder about the world around our parents' feet in the back deck or in your living room. And somewhere along the line that gets squeezed out of us. We hear no thousands of times a day. We're told be practical, be responsible. Everything is about getting into the better school and the better college. And I can't tell you how many people I've worked with who come to me, they're 45 years old, and they have been living a life they don't want to live for the past 25 years. And they have forgot what it means to set big goals. They forgot what it means to define a life they actually want to live. And now they want to build their own business, and to them, that seems unattainable. Go back to yourself when you're 7 years old. Nothing seemed unattainable then. And now the simple act of starting your own business, giving yourself permission to take a vacation, seems so unattainable. What happened between being a kid and the time you're adult? So it's time today. My challenge to you today is go back and unleash that inner kid. As I talked about with Art Sobczak, unleash that inner kid so you can sell better, so you don't take no for an answer, but also unleash that inner kid to realize that anything is possible. Start dreaming big. Start thinking big. Start thinking and giving yourself permission to define the life you want to live, to define the business you want to live. And when you build that business, you build it around the ideas that you have to improve the lives of someone else. Because I can't repeat this enough. That's what a business is all about. It's improving the life of someone else. I don't care if you're selling golf balls or widgets or high-end coaching and consulting programs. You are improving the life of someone else. And within those ideas of how you improve the lives of someone else lies your authority. And so communicating, putting yourself out there. When you were a kid, you had no problem doing that. Now, as you're an adult, rekindle that kid-like attitude of, I have these ideas to improve the life of someone else. I'm going to build a business around that, by making someone's life better. And I am no longer afraid of putting myself out there to do that. You know, I do this every Friday. Sometimes we have large audiences. Sometimes we have a few, but I go into everything with the goal of impacting at least one person with whatever I do. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Remember, unleash your inner kid. Go back to when you were a kid and realize that you weren't afraid to dream big. You weren't afraid to put yourself out there. You weren't afraid to not take no for an answer. So that's topic number 1. Before we move on to the next topic, who do we got out there? I see we got a lot of lurkers today, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever in the world you're joining us from. Jump in, share your name, your city, your state, your town, your country, your continent. Let us know where in the world you're joining us from. In this era of physical distancing, it's so important to build a community. We got to do it online, right? So let us know where in the world you're joining us from. Leave us at least one thing you are grateful for today. Michael writes, love that, Kurt. Business is about improving the life of someone else. Absolutely. Strip it down to the most basic. I interviewed Victor Antonio, sales trainer, best-selling author last year. And he said, you don't have to love the product or service you sell, but you got to be in love with the impact it has on someone else. You got to be in love with the impact your product or service has on another person. Right? Obviously, I don't use combs, but I could sell combs because I know my son has a full head of hair. He loves combing his hair, right? It has an impact on him. I could sell that comb because I know it has an impact on another human being. And somewhere along the way, we lose sight of what branding and sales is all about. Somewhere along the line, we lose sight of what having a business is all about. It's about improving the life of someone else. So when you pick up the phone, when you put yourself out there, when you have a conversation, it's not about selling. It's not about begging someone to buy your product or service. It's not about pitching. I hate the word pitching. It's about having a conversation about the impact that your potential client gets from your product or service. Yesterday, I was flipping through a variety of LinkedIn profiles, and I can tell you 90% or more of those LinkedIn profiles do not speak to the impact you have on your client or customer. 90% at least of LinkedIn profiles out there do not speak to the impact you have on your customer. Yes, I'm talking about your headline. If your headline simply has a job title, you're doing it wrong. What's my job title or what's my headline on LinkedIn? We help entrepreneurs increase their authority brand exposure to the right clients so they can make more money. It's not a job title. It speaks to the outcome my clients have when they work with me, the impact they get. And I communicate that all through my LinkedIn profile. I communicate it here, communicate it on my website, I communicate it in my emails. If you are not speaking to your customer outcomes, you're doing it wrong. Reach out. Text Superpowers to 55678, and I will get in touch with you to help you build that authority brand, to help you increase your authority brand exposure to the right clients so you can make more money. Because business is about improving the life of someone else. Absolutely, Michael. Thank you so much for your comments, and thank you for everyone's comments today. So the next thing I want to get to, and I give a shout out to Brandon Bornancin, who I interviewed yesterday in a live stream. Go back. Whether you're joining us on YouTube, here on LinkedIn, or Twitter. And I interviewed Brandon. Now, Brandon has done over 100 million in sales for Google, IBM. He's the founder of Seamless.ai, which is an incredible company. Go check it out to help deliver more sales leads. People, he's creating other millionaires too. And he talks about helping other people. And one of the things he talked about was that no one wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, I got to log on to Facebook or LinkedIn and see what IBM has to say with their new white paper. Now, I picked on IBM because it came to my head, but insert any company there. That's not what authority is all about. You see, everyone likes to talk about, oh, are you in B2B? Are you in B2C? Business to business, business to consumer. And I say, forget it. Throw that out the window. Forget B2B, forget B2C, because all branding and sales is P2P, person to person, human to human. And we forget about that. And when we produce content, we look like a bot. I've said it here before, and I will say it again. No one gives a damn about you. No one gives a damn about your product, your service, your bells and whistles. What they care about, what your clients care about is what's in it for me. I'm not saying they don't care about you as a human being. I'm not saying they don't have empathy for you. What I'm saying is if they're going to give you value in the form of reaching into their pocket and giving you money, they want value in return. They want to know the impact you're going to have on them. So forget B2B and B2C. It's person to person. And when you have those conversations, as I talked about with Brandon yesterday, listen, when he was selling Google's products, yeah, he had those products. But when he was on the phone with someone, it was Brandon and Jane, Brandon and Jim. It was human to human, person to person. So whether you're on the phone, whether you're producing content, whatever it is, when you go out, you have a brand. When you leave your house, you have a brand. When you get on the phone, you have your brand. I have 4 kids. I have a brand before those kids. Whatever conversation you're having, remember, whatever you say reflects your brand because you are a human being. If you're selling widgets for company XYZ, when you get on the phone, when you talk to someone, when you produce content, the person on the other line, the person on the other end of that content is a human, and they're reacting to your humanity as well. So forget B2B, forget B2C. It is all P2P, person to person, human to human. We got to bring humanity back to branding and sales because that's what it's all about. I can't tell you the amount of products, services, cars, technology that I've purchased. And I can tell you right now, my current financial services entrepreneur with whom I work, I bought from him because of the know, like, and trust factor, because of his humanity. I don't know anything about financial services from a product standpoint, but it was his humanity. It was his personality. It was what he said that drew me in and caused me to fire my old advisor. And so I went with him. And I can't tell you, I presented to the CFA Institute, Chartered Financial Advisors, about 2 months ago. And I have had dozens of discussions with financial services entrepreneurs over the past several weeks. And I can tell you the most common challenge I see is the fact that they are very smart. They know a lot about their product and service. And they try to communicate that intelligence. They try to communicate everything about their product or service. They verbally vomit in the first minute and they lose me. They lose their clients because you know what? All of their competitors are saying the same thing. They're trying to sell their business and their product and their service instead of being human, instead of speaking to the outcomes, the impact that their clients get from working with them. Once you start doing that, you will be the X factor. You will separate yourself out from your competitors. If you want to learn more, text Superpowers to 55678. You'll get in touch with me personally. And we can have a discussion. If it's worth 15 minutes to you to learn how you can increase your authority brand exposure to the right clients so you can make more money, let's have that discussion. So let's go. Before we move on to the next topic, listen, I want to thank everyone who's leaving comments here. We got Kenneth from Sugar Land, Texas. We got Ankit, Brian from Mulberry, Florida. We got Godwin Gums. Thank you so much. He's from Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you for joining us. We got Michael from Long Island, New York. And Mark Stern from Brooklyn, New York. We got a lot of New York, Texas here. People from around the world. Mark from Brooklyn, New York, grateful for my life, health, and family. That is wonderful. And as you join, as you've seen other people are doing, don't just be a lurker. I can see people out there viewing, can't see who you are. Jump in. Let us know your name, your city, your state, your town, your country, your continent, where in the world you're joining us from, and at least one thing you're grateful for. So first today, we talked about why you should be more like a kid, why that's going to help you in sales, but why it is going to help you live a more fulfilling life and setting bigger goals. Think back to when you were in 7th grade. You weren't afraid to set big goals. You weren't afraid to realize that life was your oyster and you can create life, but we lose that when we get to adulthood. Go back and unleash that inner kid. We also talked in the last topic about why all branding and sales is P2P, person to person, human to human. Forget B2B, forget B2C. In the end, let's bring humanity back to branding and sales. So in our final topic today, I want to talk about unleashing your superpowers and why you should do so. When you unleash your superpowers, what does that mean? It means you unlock your inner talents, those naturally recurring patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior that can be productively applied. Those feelings, those behaviors, those thoughts that come naturally to you, you unlock them. You invest in them and you turn them into your strengths. When you amplify those strengths every single day and you combine them with your knowledge, your skill, and passion, that's when you're in your superpower zone. And when you unleash your superpowers, you're more purposeful. You are more productive. You have a better quality of life. And yes, you are more profitable. I'm a Gallup certified strengths trainer. Gallup's been doing this for 40 years. And we know when you get in that strength zone, hell, when you get into that superpower zone, you have more positive than negative interactions with people. You get in that state of flow easier. You work more efficiently. And I ask you, if you played baseball or softball growing up, let's say you were a right-handed pitcher, but at the beginning of the season, your manager came up and said, we're going to have you do something different. We're going to have you pitch from the left-handed side of the plate. And when I ask this in workshops, people say, oh, I would suck. I'd be horrible. I can't throw that way. Exactly. Whether or not you're right-handed or left-handed is a God-given talent with which you were born. But whether or not you can throw a baseball is a skill. When you combine your talent with the skill, you turn them into strengths. When you show up every day with that sense of passion, that sense of wanting to win, that commitment to excellence, you turn it into superpowers. But so many of us, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business owners, managers, teams, whatever it is, we do the equivalent of pitching from the left-handed side of the plate. We work in our weaknesses zone every day, and that forces us to grind. And then we wonder, why am I so busy, but I'm not truly productive? Why am I not liking my days? Why am I not being as effective as I want to be? We confuse that certainly sometimes with passion, where we like what we're doing, but we're not following the best route to get there. You know why? Because you're stuck in your weaknesses zone. The first key to unlocking your talents is taking the Gallup Strengthsfinder assessment. And as I mentioned at the top of this show, I got a goodie for you. See this on the bottom of the screen? Take out your cell phone right now, text Superpowers to the number 55678. Take out your cell phone right now and text Superpowers to 55678. There's some goodies there for you, including the ability to get 50% off, a 50% discount on taking your Strengthsfinder assessment. It's normally $19.99. You can get it for $9.99. It's about half off. Maybe my math is wrong. But you take that assessment, you will learn what those naturally occurring patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior are. That is the first step to unlocking your talents, investing in them and turning them into strengths, and then unleashing your superpowers so you can be more purposeful, productive, and profitable. Text Superpowers to 55678 today. And by the way, that's a great way to get in touch with me too, because I will reach out to you personally so we can have a discussion about how to help you build a bigger and better authority brand and how to make you more purposeful, productive, and profitable. Before we kick off for today and end yet another wonderful Freedom Friday live stream, I want to thank all of you for joining, whether you've joined us live or the archive version, whether you've joined us from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from YouTube, from Twitter. And if you're joining the archive version, please jump in with your comments, your questions, your agreements, your disagreements. And please don't be a lurker. Let us know your name, your city, your state, your town, where in the world you're joining us from, and at least one thing you're grateful for. Today, we are going to end this week and begin this day with a sense of gratitude. Gratitude is the best attitude, and it is the first step toward having an abundance mindset. So I want to thank everyone here who left comments. Mark Stern is the latest. Mark from Brooklyn, New York, grateful for my life, my family, and my health. Thank you, Mark, Michael, Godwin, Kenneth, Brian, Ankit, everyone who has joined us today, and all those who will remain nameless who didn't jump in. Thank you so much for joining us on this Freedom Friday live stream. Very grateful. And who else? We got one more person, Michael DeLeon. Great stuff, Kurt. Thank you, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Michael. You have a wonderful weekend as well. My name is Kurt Mercadante. My company is Merc Enterprises. This is the Freedom Friday live stream. Thank you so much for joining.